take a phrase from someplace else, all presidents are bastards, and you just have to take the piss out of the president. That's what you have to do.
Right. Yeah. I actually saw the one, because I cringed every time. The one who never stopped was Colbert. Even during the elections, I was like, Colbert, Jesus Christ, dude, everyone's watching.
Oh man, did you see? Hey everybody, my name is Jerry Williams. Welcome to the Grady Rapes podcast. I'm here with my my buddy Jesse Vale,
aka Bino,
and we're just obviously you've got us into in the middle of a conversation. I want to apologize for being late on this. Got really caught up on stuff. I know you weren't feeling particularly well yesterday.
No, man, I had a bunch of stuff on my plate.
And so we're just getting this today. This is Sunday. But so we caught us in the middle of a conversation like you always do. But Jesse, have you seen Dana Carvey do Joe Biden?
Oh God, no. Is it funny?
Brilliant.
Really?
It is brilliant.
Oh yeah.
God. We'll do that as a side bit, because
for sure.
It's just he's on Colbert, and they both do their Bidens. They have a little comparison because he asked him about, hey, are you doing Joe Biden? And it's just so it's excellent. It's just
we haven't caught up on that yet. Man, this has been such a weird time, man, because for the last year nothing, and now all of a sudden everything. I mean, that's what's overwhelming me. That's kind of what overwhelmed me yesterday. It's like and it's not a lot, dude, right? It would be my standard work week,
right?
Okay, yeah, well, not standard. I mean, sometimes I work none, and sometimes I work 80 hours a week,
right?
If a show's about to open, I don't know why theater can't get over that. I don't. It's always been a thing with me in theater. It's just like, oh, we have Hell Week, so everybody just waits till then. No,
yeah, exactly.
No. Exactly. Stop it with that.
Yeah. I'm going to be working on site, so we're trying to figure out how we're going to kind of navigate the next couple podcasts, because I'm going to be working on site in Texas. Yeah. But we end up having these hell weeks. Those 2 weeks are going to be just hell, and so I'm literally, doing little work here and there. It's like I'm just laying all sorts of I know what happens on these things. Mm-hmm. So it's like I'm laying little shortcuts. I'm putting little folder arrangements together, all this kind of stuff, little like macros. Like, okay, if I just hit this key thing, it's going to go. I'm doing things to try to not, at least for me, I won't be going crazy. Everyone else might be spinning around me.
Yeah,
but I want to have my stuff in a line, because it's madness when
it's madness when
you keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, and it's also because it's same with you. It's a lot of different people doing different things that need to match up. Mm-hmm. So you could lay a lot of groundwork, but if someone else is not ready, right, sometimes you can't move forward. Like if something isn't built, it can't be painted.
Right.
In a theater
right
environment. Right. And that's why I always feel bad. Now, I'm not a scenic painter, but that's why I always feel bad about some of the sets. I'm like, no, we need to get this done, because it needs to be handed to the painter, because I'd rather have it look good, that sort of thing.
Right.
But it's weird. I have all this, not all this work. It's still not enough to survive, ladies and gentlemen. It's unbelievable how much work I have up ahead of me, and it's not enough to survive.
I don't know. Yeah, that's the life of they don't call it starving artist for nothing.
I don't know how I'm going to do this, because now, because of certain circumstances and moving and the like, my expenses tripled, just like that. And
this is why I work for lawyers.
Yes,
I tried the starving artist thing, and it's great. I felt like I was doing the stuff I wanted to do. It's like really cool, but
I keep waiting for Jerry.
That debt is heavy. And so I'm like, you know what? She's like, you know what? I'm gonna keep doing art, but I'm gonna do it for somebody who pays.
Right.
And so that's what I'm gonna do.
And I keep waiting for Jerry to come to me after a meeting at work and go, Bean, they need puppets for the next case, and it's just not going to happen.
hey, if it comes up, man, you will be there.
Absolutely.
It'll just be like, bring, we got one.
I give you a challenge. I give you two challenges, just because it'll be funny. to report to me that you've done it. And that is float it.
Float using puppets?
Just one day, just float it. Or a small stage play. You know, be like, I got a guy. This point could totally be made with puppets. I got it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah.
That would be hilarious. So, but what we're here to talk about generally is whatever we've been watching lately. And yes, we're still going to take care of the last half of Zack Snyder's Justice League. We're going to record that in a couple days. But most recently,
I almost don't want to. I get really worked up. But people
I
like
understand
it
completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're gonna get into the latest Falcon and Winter Soldier. But oh, by the way, did you get my text that I was gonna be watching Godzilla versus King Kong last night?
Yeah. So I was thinking about maybe watching that tonight.
You should watch it. And it's really too bad. I mean, it's just it's too bad you didn't watch it because we could talk about it. But the story was stupid as heck. I mean, just come on.
Of course.
And I actually, there was enough in it that I was like, wait a minute, I should have watched Godzilla King of the Monsters. Now I got to go back and watch Godzilla King of the Monsters just so this stuff that doesn't make sense will make a little more sense, even though it's based in nonsense. There's only so much you can do. You know, it's going to be garbage, but maybe there'll be some better context. But I got to say, you know, when it came to the final battle, I was more invested in it than the Justice League.
Absolutely. I could tell you that right away. I already know.
I was like, all right. There was some stuff happened. I was like, every so often I'd be like, yeah, you do that. On Kong. That's right. You got that strut. Okay. You know, there's just little moments where I was like, that's funny. I actually had it might be fleeting, like just like a second, but I was like, I felt something there. I was, what just happened mattered just for a second there. And I didn't.
I can see why it does, and that's why properties like that move, because people do have investments, right? Because we grew up with some of the stuff, and so there's this thread they're pulling that hits your amygdala. It's just like, I feel, which it's an easy thread to pull. You just pointed out.
Yeah,
it's an easy thread to pull.
Yeah.
Because they bring you back to something that you enjoyed, even if you didn't know why you enjoyed it, you did, which is why it's a travesty that DC is so bad.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
I mean, there was, I mean, they did have a fairly simple formula for me for this one, which was, and a little spoiler alert, but giant gorilla hitting a giant lizard and a giant robot. I mean, it had gorillas, it had a gorilla and a robot in it. I'm gonna like the movie to a certain degree. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I'm not that sophisticated. You got me a giant gorilla and a giant robot hitting each other. It's like, you know what? It starts at a 3.
It's good. Yeah, it's
already
cool.
It's already at a 3. We're gonna go up from there. It could be, but
yeah. And again, you just illustrated the same thing, right? It's got Superman, it's got Batman, it's got Wonder Woman. It should be at a 3 already.
Yeah, just start there. Yeah, basically, maybe even a 5. There. Maybe even a 5.
Yeah. Because you're looking forward to being in that universe. Yeah. I hate that universe.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Even though when you really think deeply into it, there isn't any of the fantasy universes that you'd like to live in. No. You would think that people would say, "Oh, well, Bean wants to live in Middle Earth." No, I don't. It's a fucking terrifying place.
Yeah,
awful.
Exactly.
It's awful. No. Yes, for romantic reasons, I would choose that one, right? But no, even the MCU.
You're living in fear at all times.
I would never want to live in the MCU. Are you kidding me? You mean Hulk can destroy my entire block?
Yeah.
Randomly.
Where you can just walk out or not even walk out, and all of a sudden your whole neighborhood has just been hit by a beam and it's just gone. It's just been wiped off. Or someone cast a spell and you just never existed, or maybe half your family never existed, or what? Yeah, it's like, nah.
Or the universe ends. It happens so often in Marvel The universe ends so much in that.
Or in DC, where the universe gets rewritten so many freaking times.
Right.
Where it's like, oh, wait a minute. I'm not a doctor anymore. Wait a minute. This happened. If some of us remember how things were, why do I have two sets of memories? We used to still do this. This has happened before.
What? And I have to tell you, this comes into my mind a lot because, you know, it's escapism. So I think like, oh, what would it be? My brain just says, oh, what would he be like to be Thor? Right. Now I'm just trying to pick like one of the more powerful ones that's really hard to kill.
Right. Okay.
Right. Are you kidding me? No. The shit that guy's been through? No. Even the best, I just wouldn't. They're like, hey, did you know you can be Thor? Fuck you. Get away from me with that. What are you doing? No, I don't want to be Thor.
Pointing that thing. Watch where you're pointing that thing.
Hulk. Essentially immortal. No. I feel so bad for that guy. You know, I just finally finished, or actually, did I finish? Understanding Comics. He strung together like 9.5 hours of all his Hulk stories.
You're talking about Rob's series. It's not Understanding Comics. You keep calling it Understanding
Comics. I keep calling it that because it's the comic book. It's Comics Revealed. It's Comics.
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It was really good. He does really good stuff.
He really does good stuff.
His laugh irritates me, but
his laugh is very silly. Yeah. He finds certain things really funny, and then I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, you know, I'm happy for him.
You're really laughing. You're really having a good time with that one. Okay.
Yep. So,
but he knows his stuff.
Yeah, but you couldn't. No, poor David Banner. Bruce Banner. God, that tells you when I grew up.
Robert Banner.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So now we got to get going into it.
That's the way. So
I liked it. How's that for starters?
Yeah. So you just watched it last night, right?
Yeah.
You were a little bit behind. You hadn't had a chance to watch it yet. I'm going to start a timer here because.
Yeah, and I just realized that my camera's a little bit off.
So. Yeah. So. There's a lot of little bits in this last episode, which I can't remember what it's called. Do you remember what the episode was called? Off the top of your head? Probably look it up.
You know, it was something so obvious where I went, "Oh yeah, that's a good name."
Okay, yeah, something like that.
Third episode.
Third episode. So it, I liked how it started off with the. I have a few notes here. I don't know if you have any. It started off with that commercial for the
yes
global rep.
I have a note about
repatriation. Yeah, so Global Repatriation Council, and how they transitioned from like the public face, which is like that commercial, and it's like they had those little taglines. It's like rebuild, something, and it was like all I don't know if you wrote it down.
Yeah,
like it's all you know, freaking stock images of people running across fields and being happy and hugging and all that kind of stuff, and then cutting to the police van with Captain America, the new Captain America, they're coming out and like saying, don't let anybody get away. Let's don't give them a chance to move, don't give them a chance to run, don't give them a chance to breathe,
right, to show the reality of what it is
of what it is. And that he's the face of it, and that's he's the face of it. It was
right. Just like so that's that good writing where all of a sudden you're given an understanding that you're like, oh, here's where we are with the new Cap, with John. I'm not even gonna call him Cap. With John, and then they pushed that forward a little bit and made me understand him even more and some of the things that he did. But real quick before we go, one of the things that I loved about that little film that it started with was that I could feel how much the person who produced that hated those. And I loved it because I hate those too. I've worked at way too many retail outlets and have had to go through just training videos. Just the guy whose voice he understood, he hated them too. He's like, yeah, how many gigs does that guy get? He goes, yeah, I get these all the time. I bet you. I wonder if they went to like one of the worst ones and they're like, who's the voice? Who's the announcer in that one? Who's the voice? Okay, hire him.
Right.
Right.
You get that.
Right. And it'd be like, oh yeah, we asked you in. We want you to do. Remember the McDonald's fryer video you did? Yeah, that one.
That energy. Bring that energy.
Bring that in.
Yeah. So I thought that was because a lot is said, right? There's just a lot said, and it's also the whole what they claim to be doing and then what the people on the ground are seeing. And that's the whole thing with the whole Flag Smashers thing. It's like,
but more than that, it kind of fed a curiosity that I have, that I'm sure you have. We get little visions of what the post-blip world look like. Right? Because we've seen with Monica Rambeau how that whole scene there, right? Like that was info. There was a lot of info there on how people and what they were doing. I got to call my wife, people missing deaths of their loved ones and so on and so forth. And then, then your brain starts working on that. Oh crap, man. People got remarried. Children were born. People died. Jobs were filled. Like all these different things. Right. And so that creates these big questions in your mind. And I really appreciated that video because it really filled in some of that stuff. It's like, yeah, man.
Well, yeah. And the fact that it's the Repatriation Council, which kind of even says like, especially since like, if you died, your citizenship is revoked.
Yeah.
So you have to actually just somehow come back and be a person. You have to have you have to get your citizenship back and get out. So you have to exist legally again.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that came to my mind is that, just how complicated, because you just think like, oh, now everyone's back. When you think of it in simple, cinematic terms,
right?
Yay, everyone's back. Right. That's what we got at the end of that movie. Yay, everyone's back. Because you want uplifting. Okay, yeah, we beat the bad guy and now everyone's back. But the damage that bastard did, even when they came back, because it's like questions like what you just said, literal repatriation. If I come back from the blip and I have no United States citizenship, maybe I don't want it.
Right.
So what things need to be put in place so that I can become an Italian? Right. And
if you do, who says they want you?
Right.
So then you have to deal with that. If you look at and that's one thing I was thinking about going into this, that there's an interesting parallel that we might be able to at least look at when it comes to what's going on with the pandemic, is the complicated like infrastructure and bureaucracy that we've had to deal with just for rolling out vaccines.
Yeah. Well, and just for getting through the people arguing about the most simple things like wearing a mask.
Yeah.
So I mean, like really.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. These are simple things. They're just like, hey, this is a public health thing that everyone kind of understands is an issue. And we have their, our people telling us about it. Okay, boom. That all makes sense. We all understand that. Okay. Then we actually have something that most people want. We have vaccines, but we only have a limited supply, so we can't do it. So we have to figure out a way of rolling it out.
And whole systems are created.
The whole systems are created, but it's for something that is relatively small.
Right.
Compared to what happened after the blip. And so it's just like, it's crazy to think that it's just like, oh, they're back.
Right. Because here's, maybe unsaid in the Flag Smashers. I think that the way they've worked in the Flag Smashers in this circumstance, I really like it. It just shoes in perfectly. And that some people don't want citizenship, right? Because they are citizens of people who were blipped. I mean, because what is a nation that other than people with similar experiences and similar values, right? So,
or
this
is also people who are gone. These are people. A lot of these people, and a lot of these people are people who were left behind, but because of the way things fell apart, they're like, my country doesn't exist, and like Sokovia doesn't exist anymore. It got picked apart, right? And so people are just like, since everything is just terrible, it's basic lawlessness here. I'm going to go where I need to survive, and that's my life now. Why, now that this is everybody's back, do I need to go back to that life?
And that again, it's another good fit in with what we're going through now, because this is going to occur. Why should I go back to work in another place when I've done perfectly fine in my own home office, which I can now write off? Why would I want to do that? And so there's pressure. I'm not saying me personally, I'm just saying other people. They're asking those questions. Things are going to be changed. And we're talking with us, it's huge. It's so hard to deal with. It's going to be hard to deal with what we're about to go through the next few years or decades. That is half the population disappearing. That's just nuts.
It's nuts. And given the fact that people are people, corporations are corporations, they're going to do what they're going to do in order to make the money they need to, and you didn't exist. And so, yes, we're going to do what we can, but at the same time, we're only going to do what we have to do. Mm-hmm. We're not going to go out of our way to make sure things are all right for you. The letter of the law says this is what we need to do for you, and that is all we are going to do, because our profit margin is tight and we're just going to hold it, So yeah, it's crazy. It's a very interesting bit of a texture to the MCU that's showing up because of this.
I mean, so like we teased that, I talked 3 hours about 2 hours of the Snyder Cut, but we just spent a goodly amount of time in the first 30 seconds of that, but for an entirely different reason.
Right.
Because it was really informative and it was cool and there was a lot to see there.
Right.
But yes, now that John goes back into that place, and just such good decision making. It's a trope, but to have the Germans speak English to him eventually.
Yes. Okay. And before that, I thought it was nice. Okay, so also they gave Lamar some skill. Mm-hmm. He's a translator.
Yeah.
So it was like right off the bat. So, okay, good. We're going to give him some nuance, which is good. He's not just, you're a sidekick. He actually has, breadth beyond that of just being a bruiser that's going to fight alongside this new Cap. He actually has a skill set, which was a good little bit there. But yes, I like the fact that he spoke English in the end there. But I don't know if you noticed that. Do you know who I am was trending Friday?
No,
it was trending because again, so Cap does, the new Cap does that whole, do you know who I am, which is something Cap would never say,
and it's what a lot of Americans would say.
Yeah, but it's something that Steve Rogers would say, but it would be more in terms of, don't you trust me? He would say something like,
right.
Excuse me. Do you know who I am?
Right.
He
would say that to like Bucky or
just like it's like, hey, coming in, do you recognize me? Okay, cool. So now you know who I am. So you understand who I am and you trust me.
But I still can't even picture him saying that.
But in the way he did as a trying to say that gave him a particular amount of authority, which is what Walker did.
Right. But that's why I say it's what a lot of Americans would say. Or if you use Captain America as a stand-in for the United States itself, right? And this is what they went through with the books as well. They recognized this is shorthand. Mm-hmm. So we can play with this and make some social commentary, and that's what they're doing here as well.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, that's a great.
No, you're right. It's a very nice shorthand for it.
Yeah, and so to have him, John Walker, speak. I think Cap is American. I think he does act like an American, the best, right?
Yes,
And he's made some mistakes.
American Ideal. Yeah, yes.
American Ideal. But John Walker equally. It's just not the stuff I like.
Right. Right.
But he absolutely John Walker absolutely represents the United States.
Yeah, and in this case, it was very much the that you do you know who I am is not just in the context of like, hey, do you know who I am? You need to listen to me. You know what I can do to you, kind of thing. It's also very much that the privileged guys that get pulled over the cops. Like, do you know who I am?
That's exactly.
You're a tourist in another country. It's like, I'm an American.
Right.
Right. You have to do what, come on. Don't you know who I am? So there was all that behind it, which I thought was which was good because it's the
exceptionalism in its negative form.
Yes. Yeah. So, and the fact that, and so it was trending because it was just everyone just like, everyone, nothing, Cap, do you know who John Walker, you know who I am? MCU fans, I know we know, but we don't care. It's just like,
right.
Because nobody likes that guy, which is hilarious because I know Wyatt Russell, the actor. He's like, I hope people don't hate me after this show. he's like, I know the situation I'm in. Please don't hate me after this show.
They got to put him in a buddy comedy,
something
after this. Oh my God, they got to do what's his name? Captain what? His parents were in the movie Captain. He was this weird drunken. Oh man,
he's blanking.
Kurt Russell was in a movie with Goldie Hawn called Captain something, and I'm gonna feel so stupid when it finally occurs to me.
I'm not remembering it.
And it's just this goofy, playful movie. So he needs to be in it with his parents.
Yeah. So I also a lot happened in that little bit of scene. There was a spot where after they left, they didn't get what they wanted. They started to leave, and they kind of put Walker in kind of like an out of focus fugue kind of thing.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
I don't know what that's alluding to. I don't think it's like, oh, he's got the super soldier serum in it's making.
But that's what occurred to me initially.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's
but like something that we don't know.
Yeah, right.
That he somehow got some.
Or I'm thinking more
or the government.
It's his instability or something.
Yeah, that's probably more likely. Definitely more likely.
But what I did like that came out of that scene was that Lamar is a little more by the book than him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the one that's like, okay, well, maybe we should do this. And he's like, look, I understand, like, these guys are giving people food, that's why they're loyal. He's understanding. He's a little bit more understanding of the circumstance that these people are in. And so also what the rules are when it comes to like investigation and stuff like that.
So I think that's clever because to me, what they've done there is we just made this comparison between Captain America and John Walker to show different sides of the same coin, right? What it means, American exceptionalism, right? So we made that, and then they said, well, yes, people are going to make that, and that's going to be a thing, but how about we put somebody who is an immediate foil? And that's what Hoskins was.
Right.
Now this is a proper American stance.
Now, he also understands the chain of command. He's going to do what he's told to do, but he's also a voice of reason in there to a certain degree.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of pompousness or whatever, but also kind of alludes to the conflict that happened in the comics in terms of Battlestar not following U.S. agent down that road of just just being overly violent and kind of going against him in the end. So I think he's holding true to that relationship. I thought that was a good note bit to have in there.
So then now we're getting to the point where I'm going to diverge.
Okay.
I understand comic shorthand, cinematic shorthand, television shorthand. Sometimes you just have to get shit done.
Yes.
But releasing Zemo, really?
that
That
prison
fast?
that
Like,
prison
that
escape
fast?
was quick.
That was
Yes.
quick. The whole concept was quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It was just so quick. I mean, I loved what happened with it.
Right.
I loved the little, as they're talking about, no, I don't know if this is the right idea, that you see that it's happened.
Right. When
And
there's no
that
sense,
then
there's no sense
Zemo
of time
shows
there,
up.
which I
Where
thought was
are
a-
we? The timing was great.
but there was no sense of like how
that.
much time had passed. That was a little problematic. I wasn't sure how much time had passed. You know, is it a couple hours? You know, is it a couple hours later you've gone to wherever Zemo's cars
Base.
are or whatever? You know,
Yeah, his
you know.
base, yeah.
So you know how they get there. So some time had passed. But yeah, it was funny because I was thinking the same thing in terms of, I've mentioned that maybe the Snyder cut, it could have been divided up into like 6 episodes, and basically be about the same length as, you know, as Falcon and Winter Soldier. So I was kind of thinking of Falcon and Winter Soldier in that way, and like that's a spot that can work in a series. But if you had tried to say that, oh, this is just one 4-hour movie chopped up into bits, that was too much happening in too short a period of time.
Yeah,
that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing that you can do because it's episodic. But if you were trying to say, oh yeah, you know, we took this whole thing and we just kind of broke it up at reasonable spots, that does not work in a movie. That's just too much stuff happening right there.
So
it only works because we had a week. It only works because time happened in our own experience.
I think that it might have been less jarring to me if they ended. I guess they tried to do that. Well, no, if they ended the previous episode with him talking to Zemo, not them, we're going to go see. I think that time that you're talking about, that whole effect, that might have been because that was kind of what was, well, actually, yeah, just the fact that he walked out of there and he's like, yeah, and I think we need to get him out of there. That's a really big stretch it wasn't even so much the time. It was that, if we were to really look at who these characters are, I can see that the Winter Soldier would do that.
And that's,
I can see that Bucky,
and that is why he cannot be Captain America.
Yeah, but also I see that he would be like, that's going to hurt a lot of people if I do that, and he doesn't want to do that. So that was hard for me to swallow, but it was also, and I almost expected it. I almost expected them to go their separate ways after that conversation. That, no, we're going to get him out. No, we're not. Yes, we are. No, we're not. Fight. All right, I'm done. Like, I expected Sam to fight him. We're not fucking letting that monster out.
I think if they had actually, if they actually tried to have Bucky try to get Sam to help him,
right,
that would have happened. And I think that's why they avoided that, altogether.
No, and I think that's what the good writing is. Like, you're given a circumstances as a writer.
So that
we got to get Zemo out.
But what doesn't work for me was, it was so condensed.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would have been better if they put some more interstitial scenes in between there. So, like we go from to
put somebody else in, like get what's
just cut cut back to other things happening
in front of the
so then that just kind of rearrange the scene so that there's not that sense of like just talking to him there. What do you mean we think we need to take him out? We need to let him out. Boom, boom, boom. It was all just like because there wasn't that sense of time passing for me. And it was like, what? Wow, that's really fast. That's really fast.
And I have to make something perfectly clear here. Just because I'm criticizing some of this because it didn't feel quite right and so on and so forth, what I just previously said reminded me that I respect the writing an unbelievable amount because there's a story arc and they had a difficulty.
Yes.
I just went through this. Maybe that's why I'm appreciating it, because I just had some writing difficulties. I have to write out very specific things and make it work. And if I just took the time and I did my research and thought about it and took notes, I could get it done. And that's what they did. They had to figure out a way. Look, in this episode, we got to get Zemo out.
Right.
Right. And then so they had to get really creative about that. And I'm going to tell you something else. When they saw, and I'm talking about secondary writers, not secondary, second tier, but they're still up there. Mm-hmm. When they see the storyboard and they go, wait, Zemo's going to be out? That they all panicked a little bit. That's a hard guy to write for. Right. And you could see that it was to make him a little bit goofy.
What? No,
I disagreed with, but I get it. Well, they got to somehow soften him.
Yeah. I didn't mind that so much. Because he hadn't really been established at all. You know, that's the thing is you only got to see him when he was like on a mission before. So I like the fact that, he's Baron Zemo. He's always been Baron Zemo. So
who's he Baron of? What?
It was, I think it might've been Germany, a German Baron, initially, but now in this case, it's Sokovia.
It is Sokovia. Okay.
Yeah. And that's why, he was Sokovia.
Yeah. I heard him say that. And I said, did he just refer that he's a Baron of that country? Yeah. I did, it's funny to do. I mean, it worked.
Yeah.
It's a hard swallow, but it worked. Zemo's a little bit likable. And guess what? One of the biggest decisions, and it may be in the comic books and they just introduced the character, putting that old man there, humanized him. Just that.
Right. You put the old man there. Right. Give him a little Alfred that helps him out. Yeah. The whole thing is that he's, one thing I liked about their use of him is that he's not evil so much as just criminal. There's like people who are like, they commit crimes, but they're not like, I'm going to take over the world and decimate people and all this kind of stuff. It's like, he's just criminal. So he's not like Von Doom,
right?
Or what we'll have as Von Doom. So I thought that was an interesting way to take him, because it ties to the comics where they later on he becomes a hero.
Zemo?
Yes, as part of his like evil scheme. No.
Because Doom also they somehow do that.
But there's a whole thing, the series called the Thunderbolts, which I thought I heard they were talking about making, and so this might be part of it. Is that there was a big, this was in the 90s or something like that. There's a big, crossover with X-Men and like, whole bunch of heroes just like got wiped out of existence. Just like, like I said, things happen in the Marvel universe. People got wiped out of existence.
Is this after House of M sort of thing?
This was before. This was before that. This was before that. And so different superheroes, they made some new superheroes to kind of fill in the gaps until they brought, they found reason to bring back. So secondary characters who didn't have their own books kind of stepped up, and you got other Avengers and all sorts of stuff. And so in the Hulk book, they introduced this superhero group called the Thunderbolts. And they came in and they did some stuff, and the Hulk was like, it's like, I don't know who you guys are. It's like, oh, we're new, since the Avengers aren't around, and Hulk was like, you sound familiar. Do I know you? Someone behind me, and she was like, oh, you're about whatever. And so then they showed up in a couple other books, and then they got their own book. Right. Over a period, it was like this they did like a
little series,
little soft pilot in the Hulk,
Right.
Little soft pilot in the Hulk. And then they did some other stuff. And then they got their own book. And it wasn't until like the last pages, it was a big deal. It wasn't until like the last page of book one where they revealed like, oh, this is Baron Zemo and the Masters of Evil, all disguised as superheroes.
Right.
They had been going around saving stuff and doing things in other people's books
to gain cred, as it were.
To gain cred. And we found out and Zemo was just trying to find ways of getting more information so he could undermine things. But then a lot of the bad guys, they actually kind of liked doing good stuff. There's like, hey, we're actually able to do things, getting things done, and people are respecting us now. Right. So then they started having issues between themselves. Like, why do we get? I'm not evil. I'm just trying to get stuff done, and this was the way to get stuff done. But now I'm getting stuff done this way. You know.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting. So when Zemo is not just like, you know, oh, you let me out, I'm going to kill you now. You know, it's like, oh yeah, he's not classically evil,
and he's also,
but he is still very criminal.
But he's also intelligent, so he's not going to just shoot them.
He's not going to try because he knows he can't. That's the, you know, he said it before. He's like, I know I can't physically.
And then here's a thing. So this was also a little bit jarring, and I think that they tried to put a little funny spin on it, but it didn't quite work for me. That I was still worried, and that is him dragging Zemo, escaping, dragging the cop into the can. The fact that they made it a funny place made you kind of think like maybe he just didn't off that guy.
Right.
But I couldn't tell, and it really bothered me.
Bothered you? Yeah.
Because I was just like, but then, you know, later you think about it and you think, oh, well, no, he wouldn't have, because the second they found that out,
right,
then they would just off him.
Right. Or
you killed the guard?
Yeah.
I let you out and you kill the guard.
Yeah. That's one of those things where he's smart enough to know that it's in his best interest not to do that.
Correct. Exactly what I'm saying. Like, he's intelligent. So while we're talking about him, and I hate that I'm picking these things apart.
But before we move on, okay. I am fully, I'm just glad, I'm glad you mentioned the timing of that escape, because I totally felt it. I sat there and watched it, and I was like, wow. I mean, part of me was saying wow, because actually impressed, because a whole lot of stuff happened in a short period of time and it worked. But the other part of me was like, it worked, but man, the pacing of that, it was a totally different pacing for there than the scenes before and afterwards. It was a bit jarring, but at the same time, it was impressive. It's one of those things. Man, I'm impressed that you wedged so much stuff into that one spot. But at the same time, it's like,
but Jesus Christ, you see the bulge? You sure this ain't gonna pop?
Yeah. So and that's not something they can do much, because much like, say, with like the Snyder Cut or something, there are things that you can do once or twice and it's fine, and it's excusable, but after a while it becomes tiresome and it becomes just like draining on a person to try to watch that and keep up with it. So it's like, okay, we're gonna give you a pass on that one. That was a little bit of compressed storytelling going on there. Can't do it too much.
Right. Yeah, agreed. But while we're on Zemo, you know,
we both have a very, you know, we have a beloved friend, past friend, Zeno, and so it is actually quite difficult to not say Zeno.
Or Zima for that instance, because I grew up because I was drunk in the 90s. So Zemo, I don't know, maybe it's because I was focused on him because I was wanting to learn more about him.
Right.
That may be what was occurring here. But there was this one really, really awkward shot, and I can't think that they didn't have the money to reshoot it, because my brain said this was what they had in the can and they went with it, and then they corrected it later with a B shot instead of, because there's this one point when they're running, I think they're in the stacks of storage containers, and they're all just like, and Zemo just like books it off the side, and I'm like, there he goes, he's gone.
Right.
And so narratively, Zemo just got away.
Right.
Then they have him like jump out of this thing, and he's just all, hey.
Well, let's see the first time.
I know, but it didn't look like it was an explosion. I get it.
Right. I can't remember. So, but that first time, because I remember I was like, oh man, you can't just let this dude run behind you. You can't do that.
Right.
I remember thinking that, but what was that first turn? He did that first turn, and how did he come back that first time? I can't remember.
He just came out of another place, and I thought, why did you do that? Just have him. There was no reason for him to. In other words, there was no narrative reason for him to not be with them the entire time.
Right.
Zero. Because they went from point A to point B, and he went from point A to point B, but he went to point infinity. We don't know what happened there.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't include it. There were some things that he did that were secretive that he did later. Right. And then on top of that,
there's probably something that was cut there.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I'll have to go back and take a look at it again. But I do remember at the time going, where's he? Why are you letting him?
But also, that was a weird fucking flex, man. Putting your mask on and standing in a car for no fucking reason. It was a weird flex. I know they want to get the mask back in. They showed him picking it up. They got to bookend that. He put it in a bag. Why?
Right.
Because he wanted to say hello to my little friend on a car with the mask on. And then he takes it right off. He takes it right off. Then he takes it right off, and it's just like, oh, well, there's no reason for that. Why did you do that?
Well, also, if you picture that scene, he hops up on that thing, he goes across, he does this little strut, and he shoots that gas canister thing, that whole pipeline that blows up, and still has to go down and beat those guys up because it didn't knock them out.
Right.
It literally did not stop them. That big explosion that was right there next to them just kind of knocked him over, and then he still had to go down and show that he's got some skills, goes hand to hand, instead of just having other people come in and having these. So it's like,
or not
only did he do a flex,
many bad guys.
Yeah, not only did he do an unnecessary flex, he then blew up something that had no effect.
Zero. And speaking of blowing up, okay, because I mean, again, this is getting into the sausage, but getting made. But so they're in the secret laboratory in the storage
in the stacks,
right. Zemo pops him in the chest. We'll find out the reason for that. I understood that
it's because he doesn't want any more super soldiers. I knew it was going to happen. I could tell. I knew when he got a gun, I was like, oh, he's getting himself armed. I'm like, oh, he's not arming himself. He's going to shoot that guy because he doesn't want more super soldiers being made.
And the reason behind that is varied. Like, I don't know the reason why, and I don't need to know the reason why. That's narratively fine.
Well, for me,
either he's in league with somebody who wants to make it rare so that it's more expensive, or
I think it's simpler than that. I think it goes back to his
humanitarian reasons.
No, I think it goes back to his conversation on the plane, which is like, when you have people like Steve Rogers and they have power and they get idolized, you end up having people like the Avengers and people get killed. These superpowered people. He does not like people with superpowers because they get people without superpowers killed.
Got it. Okay.
Period.
Yeah. Okay. And if that turns out to be like underlined later, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. That was my reading of it. It was like, oh yeah, he doesn't want any more of those being made. Only reason he's chill with Bucky is because like you were a victim of all this. But given a chance, he'll probably try.
And plus, you just can't take it away.
Right.
Like, okay, well, there's people out there who have it, but you're one of them.
Oh, if you give him a chance, he would probably try to kill Bucky. He shot the other super soldiers that were in the tanks,
So narratively, and into the sausage being made, there are certain things, timing that exists in these worlds. That seems to be a topic of our conversation here. So there they are in the secret laboratory in the stacks, and I can't remember which happened first. He shoots him, and then someone puts in a rocket, and they all get blown down.
There's people. The people on the outside who because they've got a big bounty for having killed what's her face.
Yeah. So I get that, right? Because
and by the way, we do have to deal with the fact that they're on Madripoor.
Yeah, exactly. So that was all. It all worked. I mean, to a fantasy degree. if a rocket of that size hit the size of one of those things of that size with no windows, and it's still, they'd all be jelly.
The pressure, yes.
Let that go for a second, because that's easy to let go, because you're just like, oh yeah, well, people are powered or not, or just
it just didn't happen.
Yeah, you can see Sam making 30-foot leaps, and somehow you'd be like, oh, okay, well, he's
right. I have an issue with the continuity of them getting out of that place, but yeah,
that's the one.
Yeah,
that's the one. Because then there's this buildup, and here's now they start a timer. Without starting a timer, they start a timer. So this was in place of a timer on a bomb. Right. We talked about this last time.
Right. Yeah. But in this case, it wasn't a physical timer. It was the
and you could feel it coming. You could feel it coming. You could feel it coming. And you're like, okay, and that's good, right? That's good. That's good filmmaking and suspense and stuff like that. But then the fucking thing blows up, and you get an aerial shot of that. Nobody survived that, dude. You don't come out of that without being completely covered in soot. The fact that they were semi-clean was just like, I was just like, what? But you can let shit like that go, because
but yeah, for me, I'm like, okay, yeah, they had to somehow.
They're all deaf and blind.
Yeah, you can. It's one of those things. It's like, okay, Bucky could have gotten out of there.
His arm could have gotten out of there.
No, he actually can run super fast.
Okay, yeah.
Right. He caught up to the trucks. He can run like, 30 something miles an hour. He can book it. Him and Cap and Black Panther, they can run past cars. Okay. He could have made it out completely and been to a safe distance.
But you saw the aerial shot.
Right. Well, there's, So my issue was
perimeter of where it's impossible.
Yeah. So if they, it's like, okay, they could get out, but it's like, if they're going to be that close to it, if they showed them like tumbling further away,
correct,
it's one of those things. But it's like,
or shot out,
or at least somehow like said, like, did a reference to like they got behind something that somehow
like
shielded
if they
them.
rounded the corner on the thing and you saw the explosion behind.
But it's one of those things where like, just for a second, and it happens with all these fantasy shows, is you go, oh, they dead.
Oh, they don't.
And then you're like, okay, of course they're not, because it's their show, and you instantly know they're not. But just for the second there, you're like, they're dead.
Because we're talking about timing here.
Yeah.
And so when you set up something like that, and you say, okay, here's the timer. We talked about this. I think it was with the Snyder Cut. We talked about this. I mean, I know.
Yeah, it was Wonder Woman scene with the timer. Yeah.
Is that your body can count time.
Yeah.
And that wasn't seconds, so your body can't count it. But your body knows a pitch.
Right.
It can't get much higher.
There's a climax of the pitch. Yeah.
Yeah. And a speed of the pitch.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, and it hit it exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But they weren't nearly out of there. By
I know.
And I was just like, oh, I mean, because me, I'm in there. So my first response is, oh no. Yeah. I mean, I know it's not Falcon and Winter Soldier, because I wouldn't put it past them. The bastards could kill Sam.
Not in episode 3 of a show.
And then episode 4. No, but then episode 4 is just called Winter Soldier. And everyone's just like, oh my God, it blew my mind. Anyways, no, I know they wouldn't do it.
But yeah, that is funny, because I felt the same thing. It's like, oh yeah, they did.
Yep. Done.
Happened in Godzilla and King Kong a couple times. There were a couple of them. I'm like, come on, you were so dead. Like several times. I'm like, you're dead.
Right.
Oh, you're dead again. But it's okay. You were already dead, so it's okay.
Yeah, right. Now before we move on to Madripoor,
because we're in Madripoor right now. Yes.
Yeah. To discuss it is that oh God, I can't remember her name all of a sudden.
Sharon Carter.
Sharon, is it?
Sharon, yeah.
Sharon. Either they got somebody that looked so much like her for those stunts, but I don't think so. She was doing those. Did you see that?
Yeah, they did a good job. They probably just had Heidi Moneymaker who's
I know,
did her work when she was in
her face.
Yeah. So they probably had her do for some of her own stuff on some of it. No. Because some of the stuff was really tight shots. I'm sure they got her to do it.
Yeah.
But on the other ones, I know
really
they can't afford to have her do other things. And so,
right.
Yeah.
So, and I was glad to see it too. And I'll tell you why, because there was a lot of we like to watch fight scenes because we want bad guys to be punished. That's just a thing, right? So
right.
we want heroes to persevere, and we want to show them being badass, right? These are the things we want when we see an action scene. Right. So a mistake that has been made in a lot of films, not a mistake, it's just a thing, is that when we first get Black Widow and she's in that hallway with Happy and she does that around the neck spin throwdown, you saw that move. Like every female did that move from that moment on in the movies. Right? And that's fine because it's a fun scene. It's not like we don't like to see a roundhouse kick anymore. Right. So it was like, oh, that's a really interesting thing. We never saw that before. And now we see it. So I'm not saying like it's bad for people to use it now. I'm just saying like now it's a move we know. And we like to see it, but it's a move we know.
Right.
She did some moves in this that I've never seen, and I was really happy.
Well, it was
her weight.
It was sloppy.
Yeah, but her using her weight.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's hard. It's sexist, but it's hard sometimes to picture a woman taking down a beefy guy like that. Yes, I know it can be done because I'm aware of martial arts, but I can't picture it. But when they show me how,
right? Well, I was saying because that's how you have to do it. And so they also made it. It was a messy scene, which I liked, but it was messy without being clumsy.
No, it was messy because she had to think of the fly, and so we're there.
Right. And but
like
you have to it takes a lot of work to make it look like you're thinking on the fly.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of work.
Yeah, it's like the second episode of Daredevil. That fight scene was amazing.
Yes, but it was messy as hell, and it's messy and brutal. It was a fight.
Everybody was
like a fight.
It felt like a fight because everybody was half dead by the end of it.
Right. From exhaustion. So that shot of Sharon getting slammed, and then the guy throws a kick and she has to crawl it. She has to move out of the way. I'm pretty sure that was her in that shot. Yeah. Where she gets body slammed up against the thing. I'm pretty sure that was her in that shot because I backed up over that one. I'm like, it looked like it was her.
Yeah, I was really impressed, and I'm of course I'm glad to see her because that was a really interesting character.
Yeah,
and I'm glad to see her again in this. They've changed.
By the way, I think she's up to something.
I do too.
Yeah, she's not just in Madripoor being blah blah blah. No,
it would not surprise me in the slightest if she wasn't the power broker.
Yeah, I don't know if she's but I would say it's possible. Yeah, but she's still
But why else would she be there? She was somehow alerted that they were there.
Yeah, because the thing is, there was no reason.
He didn't want to talk to the power broker.
There was no reason for her to be. He's like, oh, I have this place in the uptown or whatever. It's like, but why are you here now? It's not like you heard this signal that such and such guy,
because her people said power broker
that such and such just got killed. Yeah, and now I'm going to go there. No, she was already there.
I think she's the power broker. Yeah. Or it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah. I'm not going to say, you know how we are. I'm not going to say she's the power, but it wouldn't surprise me, and that would be kind of
because that's the other thing I was going to mention is that unlike the books, I don't remember in the books the power broker actually being a person.
No,
it was a group. So yeah, that's an interesting.
And also that so two things. One, if they do make her the power broker, it's going to make some people upset because
Agent 13 was a good guy. Yeah, she's Agent 13.
Yeah. So, and she made a hard choice. So,
and it's Peggy's.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a legacy. Like you wouldn't want to see Peggy's niece do that, right? So I think that would upset people. But just speaking of the power broker itself, they are making it a person. It seems.
Yes.
But it's in a different context, and me knowing the context from the comic books, it's weird to see the power broker being used that way because the power broker means I can give you superpowers.
Right.
And that's not what this means.
No. It's being used in conjunction with the fact that he was doing that, but it was not what it meant. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that's fine. Whatever. They're allowed to retcon anything they want. That's fine.
So Madripoor.
Madripoor.
Home of Wolverine and his buddies.
Correct.
Okay. The Princess Bar was there. They showed it going by. The old bar, there was a Princess Bar. I'm like, didn't Wolverine hang out there? That wasn't, it was in a spot. I couldn't remember. So I had to do a quick look up. I mean, yes, the Princess Bar was the place that Wolverine used to hang out because his buddy used to own the place.
Right.
So that's pretty much like if Wolverine wasn't in the X-Men or doing something, you know, when he was in his own book, he was on Madripoor. Just things were going down. He was either there or in Japan or something like that. But Madripoor was the spot. So I didn't see the was it Ogun? The demon head logos that were in the icons that were in the trailers. So
you mean the monkey face thing?
No, there was a monkey face thing too, but there's this red demon head that was like a like it was
Japanese.
Yeah, demon. It was I can't remember if he was an ex-master of Wolverine, someone he learned from, but then he was also a criminal, so then he ended up having to fight him, whatever. But
one of those
type of things,
not one of those type of things, one of those that existed in Wolverine's world.
But I don't know if that's going to come up or if they're just kind of like a ambiance type of thing where it's like, oh, there are these gang members that have this thing on it, or if there's somehow going to be some or they're just throwing it out there so that later on when they do decide, they've already laid the groundwork for this stuff to exist.
And that's what I was about to say is knowing their penchant for red herrings now. Their introduction of Madripoor means nothing.
Oh, it's just a place.
It's groundwork.
It's great. Yeah.
It's groundwork.
Yeah.
So that when they reintroduce, they're going to reintroduce him. He's so popular. When they reintroduce Wolverine, we will have a backdrop that people understand for different stories.
Right.
Like everybody now knows Professor Xavier's School for Gifted
Youngsters. Yes. Yeah.
Youngsters. Thank you. And so we know those. We know how he reacts with Jean. We know how he reacts with the Professor and Storm and Scott and all. Yeah, right. We get that. But some of the more interesting stories about that man take place there.
Right. And that's why they flash at a Princess Bar, just so it's there. Hey, yeah, just so you know, we're not just, we're just making sure that we know where we are.
Now,
they didn't have a silhouette in the window or nothing like that. Somebody just like with a cigar,
with the little,
or just like a wall that has some scratches on it as you go by.
Or like a nice big chunk. I bet you if we looked hard enough, somebody nerdy
is like the chips in that brick. There are 3 of them, and that would
So I kind of want to go off on Wolverine possibilities, but we have to move on because my roommate did some research on, I can't remember her name, who got killed in the Bounty.
Killed in the Bounty. Oh, the
Shelby or
the
Shelby,
the crime lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who is apparently Madripoor's crime lord.
Yeah.
So I get the narrative device. So now everybody's after them. The sort of warriors narrative device.
Right.
But what a cool character. I wanted her to stay around. I was like, crap. That's the thought that came to my mind. It's like, Jesus. she was so interesting.
Yeah, it's tough when they take people off
and
the
want to know
table.
her background.
When you take people off the table too soon,
I was
it's
so
like,
disappointed.
oh man, too many chess pieces are off the table.
So disappointed. So yeah.
Yes.
Right. So then are we ready to jump towards the end?
Well, so then we have Carly Morgenthau.
Okay.
And
Carly.
her
we haven't talked about
family member dies, right?
I don't know if it's her family member.
It's
just somebody that she really, it's
someone who's close to. That's why, yeah. So she was someone she was close to.
It happened out of order.
Yeah.
To me.
How so?
Because they showed her at her bedside crying over her dead body, saying, "I'm sorry." And then later said she's getting it to, or what the theory is that she's getting it to save her friend.
Well, that
she already had it. So why didn't she give it to her friend?
She was asking for it too. Well, for whatever reason, maybe it just wasn't gonna work, or she had,
I mean, in other words, that wasn't 12 months ago.
No.
Yeah.
It wasn't 12 months.
It confused me a little bit.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying about that.
Yeah. Why she didn't, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know why she didn't give, or it was like, oh, she's already too far gone or whatever. Who knows?
Or she just died powerfully. She already got it.
I do not know. But
it took her out.
It was
what an interesting thing. What if she gave it to her and it killed her?
Because she had tuberculosis?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They didn't say so, but that could easily come up as all I'm saying.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be so jarring to have her to be discussed.
So all of that though was, her talking to her kind of a teammate, underling, whatever.
Teammate. Mm-hmm.
Going to see her friend who was dying. Mm-hmm. It was all humanizing stuff.
Yep.
All really humanizing stuff. It's like, you know what? She's just a regular person doing what she feels she needs to do, blah, 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 blah.
You know what? They're going to make her into somewhat of a good guy. This is going to be a really understandable character.
And so it's kind of like what it's kind of like what they did with Killmonger.
That is the factor.
If you remember the experience of watching Killmonger in Black Panther, and especially if you watched it in, theater here in Oakland, there's just so many people who were in the audience, and I was one of them at some point. They're just like, when Killmonger's talking, people are like, yep, that makes sense. I understand where he's coming from. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's messed up. I understand. Makes perfect sense what he's doing. Mm-hmm. And then he crosses the line. He's like, I'm going to kill them all. I'm going to kill women, children. Anybody who's supporting the system's got to die. It's like, what?
Right. Oh, you had me until hello.
Yeah. So they did that with her, with Carly. Mm-hmm. Is like, it's like, okay, look, she wanted to have a normal life. She pictured herself doing other things.
Being a teacher.
That guy felt he had another life, but he needed to go do what he's doing now. And then she blows up a bunch of people.
Right.
And the guys, the guy who's with her is like, there were still people in there. And she's like, that's the only language these people understand. It's like,
right. Yep. Oops, you went there. But now you heard me say it just a second ago. It was great. That's good storytelling. Only one problem with that. We already know she's willing to let people die because they wrote that weird ass scene with the super soldier going to knock down a telephone pole and get shot on purpose for no reason.
But that's one of her own soldiers. That's one of her own soldiers. Yeah. Well, he died for no reason. She didn't tell him to die. She said,
she should have, but it's something to say like, no,
she said, come with us. And he said, I can hold him off. So she was taking the stuff up.
Yeah.
But this is like, you got what you want. They are tied up. They can't do anything to you.
Do anything. Yeah. No, I agree. I'm not saying that wasn't effective. It was. It's just then later I went, wait a second.
Yeah. But also it's much like with Battlestar with Lamar and Walker. Not everyone who's with Cap is of that same mentality. Not everyone who's with Carly is of that same mentality. The guy who's with her is like, okay, I guess I'm driving away right now, but
Right, because it's done, and oh my god, Carly, what the hell?
Yeah, so it's like it's still keeping that kind of humanizing to the people in that group. She's just willing to cross that line, more so, which makes her that much more dangerous.
Which makes sense now to me because I had a criticism about her name. That Carly was very cutesy, and I see that was misleading because it should have been something like Carla or Carlina or
okay,
Arletta or something that was a little bit more
Carquisha.
And you know what? I think you mentioned it where she was from before, but I totally didn't hear it. But now I know. Now she's from Solo.
Yes. Oh, the actress. Yes.
Yeah.
She was from Solo.
Yeah, and my brain just opened up and said, "Oh, it's that girl from Solo, pretty much playing the same part."
Kind of. Yeah. She's just not a kid anymore.
Not a kid anymore.
Yeah. So that was an interesting turn.
It's gonna be interesting. It's what do we only have 3 episodes, 6 total?
3 episodes left. So we
yeah.
come to the end of the episode, to which I title "You done fucked up now, Bucky."
You done fucked up now, White Wolf.
Yeah, it's
and I was I was confused for a moment when you saw that he saw the ball bearing and
the little the bead.
It was a bead because I didn't know it was a bead at first.
Yeah, I didn't know it was a bead until retroactive. I saw it and I was like, okay, boom. And then they did it again. I'm like, oh, so is it pointing? Because that one was a different color and doing a different thing. So, okay, this must be.
I didn't even notice they were doing different things. I just was like,
I saw that it was a different color, and
I just noticed the color,
or
that it was metallic and detailed, and it wasn't a weapon. That's what my brain told me. Right, like it wasn't going to pop or whatever, or do some weird Magneto shit. That's shorthand. You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're saying.
But that was a nice moment for me. So I was like, wait, is that wait. Like I got one of those. So I'm just saying, like, narratively, they know what they're doing. They did that to me, and I liked that. That was a good ride. Yeah, and I knew who she was. A
lot of the internet did not.
But I knew who she was, which is weird. I knew who she was immediately. I didn't know exactly which one. That's where my
I know.
But I knew she wasn't.
Everyone knew that. There was a lot of people on the internet that had the same problem. It's like all black women don't look alike. Just because
no, and that's not what it was.
Just because she's black, bald, and fine, don't mean she's the same person.
No, and it's not that. It's that she wasn't the leader.
She wasn't Okoye. Yeah,
that's the only thing that threw me.
But she was. She was the first one we saw.
Yes, but she is the second in command.
Yes, but she was the one we saw.
Well, I knew who she was
in Winter Soldier.
But the thought process was like, well, that's not her.
Yeah.
And then my brain wanted to justify and say, like, oh, did they just chose so they're introducing a new character. And I was like, no, she looks too familiar. And then I looked up and I was like, yeah, that's who I thought it was.
Yeah. She was the one that was in Winter
Soldier. Bald, black, and fine was the same. It was that.
No, but that's what people were saying on the internet, because people were just like, because Okoye was trending. It's like, that's not Okoye. That's not Okoye. That's Ayo. That's not Okoye. They look at the two actresses. They're different people.
Yeah. So, but I thought that was an interesting. I think it was a proper casting decision, because Okoye.
Okoye.
Too important.
She's big.
She's too important. She's not sent to do things like that. She'll go on a mission with Black Panther, but she doesn't go do bidding.
Right. Yeah, and so it ties to the fact that she was there during Zemo's when Zemo killed T'Chaka. She was with T'Challa, in that movie. She was there. She was part of, she's the first one that said move or be moved to Black Widow.
Right.
And so she was the first of the Dora Milaje we met. Right. And then later on, we found out that, okay, Okoye is actually head, but she was the one that was there with the contingent of Wakandans at the UN when that happened. So she's got an extra personal stake in that there.
Yeah. So what the hell?
Yeah.
Because you don't. So now we're gonna survive.
Bucky's got to explain that he let him out. It's like, so he got it. No, how did he get out? And
this is so this is what's confusing me. And I'm glad this is the kind of stuff I like, because I don't know where this is gonna go, because I know where it should go, but that's a red herring, because Wakandans don't fuck around.
Nope.
No. I mean, like, when I looked at her backstory, one of her bigger stories was rescuing her love from being executed by the Queen. That she went to one of the other tribes and ended up building them up because she was mad that they were going to so capital punishment is the thing, and this is just, you don't fuck around. So in my brain, this is how it should go down. Where is he? Was that the last thing she said?
Where's Zemo? Yeah,
right. And he'd be like, Bucky's dead. Now she's gonna move on. Right? Like, I'm not here for your explanations, yes. Bucky.
But he is a super
soldier.
For that. But he is a super soldier. And she is not. She's just well trained.
Okay, well, all right, but at least a fight. Yeah. And then get past him. Yeah. It's not like Bucky's gonna go that far out of his way to say.
Well, he can't. Yeah, he can't. It's one of those things where it's like, yes, Bucky could beat her. I'm sure he could. But doing so would be worse.
Yeah, I mean, so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's like, so I guess in shorthand, this is what I'm saying. Yeah. Holy shit, that's a big gun.
That's it. Yeah.
How the fuck is anybody gonna get past that big gun?
They got to figure that out. They're gonna figure that one out. Yeah,
that's a lot to. So when I was talking about earlier, when we first started about this, about how the writers were told, and in this episode,
I know,
you gotta get Zemo out, and then you gotta start writing for Zemo.
And then episode, we got to keep him alive.
You got to keep him alive for or not. And why?
Yeah. Right.
Because this woman is not going down. Mm-hmm. That is not in the cards. Right?
Right.
Unless she purposely gives her life for somebody, that hero is not going down. You talk about people who are pissed off that Emma Caulfield was a red herring. If Ayo shows up and is killed in a series, people lose their fucking minds.
Ain't gonna happen. Ayo ain't gonna get killed.
But you see what I'm saying? So this is a big gun, dude. How they?
No, they gotta write themselves out of that one. Yeah,
because she's got any number of weapons in that fucking necklace. It doesn't matter. That shit comes out of nowhere. Wakandans have like rings that are actually bow staffs. I mean, come on.
Yeah, so that was
so I'm looking forward to it.
It went like this for me. It's like Bucky's walking there and he does a little side glance and he's like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna go for a walk." And I'm like, "All right, what are you up to, Buck?"
That was jarring too, by the way, because like Sam's like, "Okay."
No, he says you good because he just like,
and he goes, you're
up to something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm like, mm-hmm. And then he looks down, sees the bead, and I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, so I'm thinking, spy stuff, right? I'm like, okay, so there's a thing, and he looks over there, and there's one on the corner. So okay, so then he goes to that one. I'm like, okay, it's a signal situation. I'm not quite catching that they're,
I didn't catch that they were beads, but I caught that they were vibranium.
Yeah. And so then he's standing there, and I'm like, okay, who's following him? Who could be? Who? That's exactly what I was like. Oh, damn! End of the episode.
Yep. And I knew it. I knew it too because I wanted more of the conversation.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, this is where they're going to put it."
Yeah.
Because it's always when I'm just like, and they're like, that was my interpretation of
the theme song
and credits.
and credits. Yeah. Yeah. So we are halfway there, man. They're going to start ramping, and we are halfway through it, and they have not gotten the shield yet.
Nope.
Nope.
So what the? They've talked about getting it back.
Yes, a couple times.
Yep, and
because Bucky was like,
if you try to destroy that, I'm taking that.
Yeah, he said, yeah, I'm taking.
So is that a setup for they might fight?
Oh, there might be a little bit of scuffle, but that's just not going to happen. I mean, Sam can't beat him, but there is a certain amount. It's like, no, I'm not going to let you destroy that thing. It's like, we need a Cap. Walker ain't it. I'm taking that back. He's not saying I'm going to be Cap.
If it's not you,
yeah,
that Cap chose,
yeah,
that I'm taking it back.
Yeah.
By the way, just a little aside here, we talked about him in the therapy session and how that was really a lot of information to come out. It was a bit jarring how much it was that he really let out a lot, but it was easy to swallow because you knew that he'd been in therapy and that was a kind of discovery thing that he's used to doing.
Right.
Instead of just being the stone cold killer that's now being so forthcoming. That was good writing, but that made me understand something that had been bothering me is why Bucky wouldn't just want it. Right. That was good. I just forgot to mention that it was really good for me to understand, like, oh, he doesn't know. He knows. He trusts Cap. He knows what he's doing.
Right. And also, yeah, and I was already of the mind that it's like Bucky knows he's still broke. He's not right in the head, and that's not what Cap is.
Right.
The fact that he can, he's much like he's like Walker in the sense that it's like stuff needs to be done. I'm just going to do it. Yes. I have these steps I need to do in order to make amends to people like the senator or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean can't do a little bit more while I'm doing it.
Right.
Steve wouldn't have done that.
Right.
He would have said, hey, I need to make these amends. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. But no, he does lock the door, make her think she's going to drive off through the parking lot make her scared for her life for a second. He didn't need to do that because he ain't quite right. He's still kind of a killer.
Yeah.
There's still some of that guy in there.
Yeah.
And he knows it. And he probably is like, he's fine with it because, for reasons he needs to be able to access it when he needs to.
Yeah. And I'd have put good money down on Zemo starting with those words.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh, yeah. I thought we talked about it last week. Yeah. He's going to say those words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So give me the elevator pitch. We don't have to their credit, we have zero ground to stand on, even though we're halfway in. We have zero ground to stand on. Any guesses? But if you gave me an elevator pitch and you were going to be responsible for writing the next 3 episodes, what did you want?
Let's see. So
not what you're guessing is going to happen. Maybe a little bit.
But... Well, see, I wouldn't even have guessed the whole Dora Milaje showing up thing. So that's a whole other monkey wrench to deal with. I do not know how they're going to deal with that. So I want them to.
Would it be if she started with some words and it shut Bucky down?
They put some other words in his head. That would be so messed up.
Oh my God. He'd be hilarious. Like, wait, what? And she'd be like,
he's all,
I'll see you later.
Arms doing all sorts of stuff.
The words are stop hitting yourself.
So I have no idea where they're going to go with that. I want them to bring Isaiah Bradley back. Me too. They need to dig more into that.
Me too.
Or at least have Sam try to deal with it. And this next episode is where Cap crosses the line.
Has to be.
This is where he crosses the line. I don't know if they have enough time, because he crosses the line in this next episode, which gives them time to get the shield from him.
Do you think he'll give it up? If you were going to write it, is he giving it up or is he taking it? Because he should give it up, because if Sam's going to wield it as Captain America, there should be buy-in.
Yeah, I think. Well, if there's so little,
because the black guy stole.
Technically, there's like 2.5 hours left, to do it, or a little over 2 hours in terms of, 2.5 hours of actual screen time. So there's time.
Do you know if the last episode is longer?
They might do longer. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. But the best way to get buy-in would be to have Cap cross that line with
John.
Yeah, that new Cap. Yeah, new Cap. John crossed the line with Falcon there in whatever capacity, not necessarily both of them.
So witnesses
publicly. Publicly. So other people see it happen. And so that when Falcon takes it from him, they see it going to someone that they know is not just taking it from him, just like, oh, that thing happened and now he has it. It's like he messed up. We saw it, we were judging him for it, and we see it pass to someone who deserves it, and we're okay with it.
Okay, so now I have how I would write this, or that episode.
I don't know if it's that next episode or how it spans over,
or whatever that scene is. It's John making a bad decision, or John about to go into a situation, and Bucky and Sam are there for maybe similar reasons, for the same right to do something. And so there's that rivalry of, no, we're going to do it. No, we're
also whose plan is better. It's like, your plan's going to get people killed. Right. We're going to do it this other way. What are you talking about? He's a stone.
And obviously it's going to be against Powered. It has to be against Powered.
Right.
Otherwise it's not. And I'll tell you why Sam has to be there and fighting the same fight, because we haven't seen the wings enough. People want the wings. And I'm not saying that that's a thing that I need to have. I don't need to have that for the rest of the, maybe one more time would be okay for some fun, but that's not, to me, that's not all he is.
Right.
Now it was all he was, but now I'm like, okay, that's a totally different guy now. I get him now.
He's a guy, dude's running around with freaking wingtip shoes, not having wings, getting shot at. Like, dude, you are in a situation.
Yep. So he's in the same battle, and it's not only going to be John is making a really bad decision, obviously having to do with violence, but that somehow Sam stops it.
Right. Yeah.
Not just that everybody sees John make a bad decision and then later I think it has to be happening at the same time.
Yeah.
You don't deserve this.
Right.
That sort of thing. Oh, it'll be one of those catches.
Catch. Well, I thought someone I saw
there's at least 3 more of them in there.
And that was an interesting, someone pointed out, I didn't see the whole thing. I just saw the headline, but I think it's true. They kind of pointed out that he's not a clue that Walker doesn't have any super soldier serum in it is that Bucky was able to catch that thing with his bare hand, not with his metal hand.
Right.
And also it's like, dude, why are you throwing it in a way that it coming toward me? It's like, here, take that. Watch where you throw that thing. But the fact that he caught it with his regular old human hand means he's not throwing it at that hard.
No.
While when Steve,
what I would love to see,
he had to clang with the metal.
I want to see somebody with a, obviously not vibranium or whatever. It's not vibranium. It is vibranium.
His arm?
No. The shield.
Yeah, it's vibranium.
Yeah. Alloy or something. Yeah. I would love to see take a top-level athlete, train him to throw a shield. Just train him to throw a shield. This is a Mythbusters thing with a lot of money behind it. Get him to bounce it off of 2 trees. I don't care if it comes back. Just get him to bounce it off of 2 trees. That's all I want to see. It's impossible. It's not going to happen unless the trees are literally right next to each other.
Well,
But
also,
angles, have you seen the angles that shit happens? It's like, that is
it's also the trees have to be strong enough to take it, because you have to go with enough force.
Yeah.
That's why Spider-Man says it defies the laws of physics, because it doesn't fall enough. It's so aerodynamic that when it goes out, it should be, the second you throw it, it should start to fall, right? That's a frisbee, so it's going to go a little bit, but it's going to lose its momentum and it's going to start to fall, but it's coming back like at the same level. It's always like ting.
That's another thing. I want to just
that's why Spider-Man's like, that thing doesn't obey the laws of physics, which it doesn't.
And I would love to see in the same episode that I'm creating now, don't even throw it hard. Just throw it at somebody and have them catch it with both of the straps.
Right. Spinning
and then
somehow catch it.
And then to hook it on their back. Put a magnet. I don't give a fuck.
No, I think they do have like a magnet thing going on with the thing. Yeah.
But to be able to
even have Cap's shield make a sound when they do it. They've literally put a little sound effect when Cap would do it. If he would go, there would be a little sound. So you go, there's something causing it to.
It was a patang.
Yeah. Little thing was happening. But yes, come on. The shield is magic.
It's magic.
The shield is magic.
And that's fine. It's not like I'm complaining. I'm just poking fun. So okay. So next episode.
Next episode should be. I mean, this it's we're looking at your standard story arc now. It's either at the end of the next episode, somewhere in this next episode. But you also have, since the episodes are long enough, it could be somewhere near the the beginning of the 5th episode.
It could.
Yeah.
Because the setup for the big fight could happen. Because there's a lot to go through here. That's what was so surprising about seeing.
And then there's still like Zemo's betrayal. Zemo's betrayal.
Or redemption.
Yeah.
Not.
No.
Yeah. So Zemo's got to go down. Okay, wait.
I don't think they can't get rid of Zemo as a bad guy.
No. I mean, just stopped.
Yeah.
So Zemo has to double cross.
Right.
And then Zemo has to go down. There's 2 things.
Or he might escape. They might have him escape.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So then we'll just say one thing then. We have to have Zemo's duplicity.
Mm-hmm. Whatever Sharon's hiding
or doing or what her part in has to be revealed.
Yep.
Oh yeah. God, I want to get this right.
AO, I think.
AO has to intercede.
She has to somehow not kill them all.
I
mean, I'm sure they're going to have the whole thing about, it's like, nope, this is not Wakandan law. This is international law. You don't get to do Wakandan justice here. You know that. You know your kingdom respects the United Nations, so we have to just get him back to jail. There'll be that conversation.
Or he's coming with me.
Yeah.
Because she can do that.
Yes.
She could take him back there for justice.
Yeah.
And that would be within their laws at any rate. And then,
but that's why she's not going to kill him.
Right. No, I know she's not.
Oh,
but she'll want to.
Yes, exactly.
And then we need John to fuck up.
Yep. Possibly try to get powers.
Yeah. And that's where I think it might be
on the comeback. See, if he loses the shield,
and then that's the reason he wants
and tries to get, goes the other way and tries to get power.
That's an angle. It could be that he fails miserably and Sam's there to save the day. It could be at that point he's not making a bad decision. He's just really not good at it.
Right.
Which would also serve. That might actually be more interesting because then it would try to turn dark, because I mean, John, I don't know.
Well, I don't know if it's so much
John
of a dark
Walker a
turn.
throwaway
I don't know if
character?
it's so much of a dark turn as a selfish turn. It's like he needs to be more. The reason he is failing as Captain America is because Cap had the super soldier serum. I don't have that. How can you expect me to be Cap when I don't have it? I need that extra.
All right. Well, then if I was to write it,
And Carly has it. Carly has the other 12 vials.
And I would say, if I was going to write it, I would say that he would fail prior to losing the shield, obtain the super soldier, then do something wrong.
Well, yeah.
Because to have John Walker powered is kind of his story arc.
Yeah, it is a story arc. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure they're going to keep it that way.
Yes.
What's that?
Is he throwaway? He could be thrown away. It's not like anybody's going to be like, well, they didn't do anything with John Walker.
No, he stayed around. I mean, at least comic-wise, he stayed around. He's still around, U.S. agent. So, he trying to redeem himself as a regular hero. So I wouldn't be surprised if they kept him around.
Just because why? Why get rid of him?
Yeah.
So making him powered would make him more interesting, because
just have the other Avengers be like, who are you?
Every.
Oh, you're that guy who tried to be Cap.
Right. Right. Oh, didn't he work for Doom?
Who?
John
US
Walker.
Agent? I don't.
U.S. Agent was part of a.
He might have.
He was part of a fake Avengers team that was led by somebody, and they were just like, who the fuck is this guy? Get him out of here. So there were Avengers there. That's why. Yeah, there were actual Avengers there that were like, get out of here with you. Can't remember.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they kept him around, because the actor is, also he's pretty good, so they might keep him around.
Yeah.
Either way, they've signed him on. I'm sure they signed him on to a fairly big deal, just in case they decide to keep him around.
Right. Here's your retainer.
Mm-hmm. Stay in shape.
Yeah. Stay in shape. Retainer.
But I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the series. I like where it's going. Like I said, there's some bumps and bruises here. They're jamming a lot in here. I'm hoping we don't feel overly compressed in these next few. Maybe they'll open it up with a little bit longer episodes toward the end.
So, because you know how much I hate that.
Yeah. When you try to jam too much stuff in the end.
And maybe that's what I'm sensing, is that they're trying to jam too much stuff. And I'm like,
but this is the one that had some production issues because of COVID. That's one reason why it's second as opposed to WandaVision, is that they had they need to extend. They had to extend their it slowed down the production time, but they were in like Romania or something, so they took their time. So hopefully they got everything they needed and didn't need to chop stuff out.
Yeah,
but it was always supposed to be a short series, so it's not like they suddenly just. It's like, oh, well, we're going to have, we're only going to have 6. We're going to have 8, but now we're only going to have 6. I think they were always planning on 6. So,
yeah. Well, cool. Yeah,
it's good.
It's good. I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I said earlier, neither of these were my favorite characters. They're still not my favorite characters, but I totally understand.
They do have great chemistry. I did like the little callback to the not moving the seat.
Mm-hmm.
When he got in the car, he's like, "You're not going to move this seat, are you?" No. But they didn't hit it too hard. They didn't go for they didn't go for the same camera angle, or anything like that. They kept it different. I'm like, good. I'm glad they didn't do that, because it would have been a little too heavy-handed. They just, and they didn't do the same joke. He just said, "You're not going to move the seat, are you?" As opposed to go, "Can you move the seat?" No, because a hack writer would have done it that way.
Right.
Speaking
I bet
of
the writer didn't even want to. They're like, and it has to have this roughly. That you refer that scene again, please.
I'm sure there's certain things. Some things probably came about organically, where they're like, okay, and he comes and he's got the car because we already established that he likes cars, so they're going to hop in.
Do we rewrite that? Yes.
And he's like, yeah. No, have him get into the front. No, blocking. We're going to have him get into the front seat. It's going to be perfect. Yeah.
I'm really enjoying it. I'm very pleased.
But speaking of hack writers, we will we'll meet again later this week, a couple days, and we will finish up our discussion of Zack Snyder's Justice League. We just have to do it. Got to bite the bullet and do it. Just got to do it.
Yeah,
got to do it. I know it's painful.
Yeah, but that would be a horrible thing to leave open ended. we'd be guilty of the same thing.
Exactly.
When thinking about it, and I don't have the capability, well, maybe I do, honestly, to make the Beano cut.
Right.
It's gonna be 5 fucking minutes long tops.
Thing is, I was talking to someone. I think I mentioned it to you once. There are two movies. One is utter garbage, just dreck, and one's pretty good. But the thing is someone has taken those two movies and they have sorted them like cards. They just shuffled them together.
You mean for just the Snyder Cut?
For the Snyder Cut, and you can't separate them because there are moments where I'm like, I like that there. I like that there. If they kept with that, it'd be fine. But I think there's a good hour and 45-minute movie in there.
Mm-hmm. No.
But it's not an hour 45-minute movie. Now the last movie wasn't a good hour for it was 2 hours and it was garbage. This one is 4 hours and is garbage. But I think in there's something. But
I can't remember, and this is a little preview for everybody because I just have to say it. Because I was looking at some research, and they're like, "Oh, that's Granny Guts or whatever her name is. What do they call her? Granny Goodness?
Goodness, yeah,
something like that." And I was just like, "Okay, well, like, there's a nerdy thing I can get behind. Like, oh, that's kind of cool. They put her in there, but they're never going to use her. That's a cameo, right?" Mm-hmm. And then it brings me to that scene. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier when we were talking about it, but I was mentioning it to my roommate. And one of the things that I just think is this could happen in any of these movies. It does happen in Marvel Universe movies. There's just this grandiosity. Boy, I couldn't even pronounce that. This grandiosity that occurs. And one of them is Darkseid's television room. Because that's what that is.
Right.
There's no throne. He's standing in front of an object to send. It's his Zoom computer.
His Zoom room, yeah.
It's his Zoom room. That motherfucker must like to walk. Because the door's like a quarter mile.
Yeah, it's like really far away.
And he also, I mean, talk about an ego. He's like, all right, everybody, into the Zoom room. Yes, sir. Why are we going to do it? I'm making a Zoom call. Yes, sir. And he makes a Zoom call. And it's like, and they're all like, yeah. Because why else? All his troops are there to watch him communicate. What? Dude, what? Anyways, there's my preview.
Alrighty.
All right.
Okay. So
that'll be it, everybody.
That'll be it for this episode. I'm gonna try to chop this thing up and get it online as quickly as possible so people don't have to wait too much longer.
Yeah.
I think this was, what was this, episode 12, episode 13? I don't even remember. I think it's episode 12, something like that. But
episode a lot more than one.
Exactly. Episode, they're still doing that?
Right. There's the title.
So thanks for anybody who was tuning in, giving us your time. We'll be back, and actually probably in a few days. We'll probably put one out midweek once we do it, just so you guys don't have to wait too long. Mm-hmm. And we'll also update you on whatever the schedule is going to be, because like I said, it's going to be kind of shaky when I'm traveling. So we'll see what we can do. So if you miss an episode,
everybody just put that in your minds. We're going to try to produce as much as we can, like real quick, but then Jerry goes into a big thing and I'm going into a big thing because all of a sudden I have a job.
The world has opened up again.
The world is, well, I wish it did, but
I know.
Not the way it is, but but at least where we're working, they're doing it responsibly. And so it means a lot of rehearsal. I'm also producing. I forgot to mention this, Jerry. We're filming on the 24th. The high school show. We're doing a high school Zoom show of one of my puppet shows, but with humans. They call themselves that. I don't know if they are.
Not legally.
So yeah, I've got that coming up, and then, dude, I booked my summer's booked.
Hey, that's good.
Yeah,
and we'll get it done. We'll get it done.
So just keep that in mind, y'all. But that also means that maybe stay tuned, Jerry. I'm gonna say this publicly so that maybe we'll just force me to do it. I'll start to release some stuff on my specific channel, which is non-existent. So
Yeah,
there's a flame under my ass to give you some behind the scenes stuff, because there's some behind the scenes stuff that's pretty interesting.
good. Yeah.
I do some weird stuff.
Yes, he does.
Yes. And then
Yeah. So stay tuned, folks. We'll try to communicate as much as possible so that you're not left out in cold wondering what happened to us.
Mm-hmm.
All righty. Thanks,
All right.
everybody, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.